A new survey shows that hunger among Filipino families has hit its highest level since the pandemic. The social weather stations found that 27.2%, or almost 3 out of 10 Filipinos, have experienced involuntary hunger in the last 3 months. This is a sharp rise from February's 21.2 and January's 15.9%. Of those affected, 0.21 or 21% rather faced moderate hunger, while over 6% suffered from severe hunger. The survey also showed hunger rose across the country except in Metro Manila. Visayas recorded the highest rate at nearly 34%, followed by Metro Manila, Mindanao, and the rest of Luzon. In response, the Department of Social Welfare and Development is boosting its Walang Gutom program. The program currently helps 300,000 food-poor households with 3,000 pesos in monthly food credits. The DSWD plans to reach 750,000 families by 2027 with additional initiatives like Walang Gutom Kitchen and nutrition cook-off challenges to promote healthy meals. And to shed light on the causes of this surge and the government's response, we're joined by DSWD Assistant Secretary and Spokesperson Irene Dumlao. Good evening, Secretary. And first of all, your reaction, how did it get this severe?
Well, good evening, Ces, Shao, and Pauline, and good evening to all your televiewers. On the part of the DSWD, we see that there are a lot of factors that may affect the increase in hunger incidents in our country. One of the reasons could be the protracted effect of the eruption of Mount Kanlaon, particularly in the Visayas region. Other reasons could be the effect of inflation, and that is why the DSWD, together with other agencies of the government, are um, uh, improving the implementation of the various anti-hunger programs of the government. That includes the Walang Gutom and the Walang Gutom Kitchen, among others.
Okay, I was wondering, Asec Dumlao, no, if the survey results kind of took you guys by surprise. Were you expecting 27.2? Do you guys have data also similar to that, and does it correspond?
Well, the DSWD is working with other government agencies, particularly with the Philippine Statistics Authority and the NEDA, for the statistics on hunger incidents. We use that as reference in improving and implementing our programs. Well, when we looked at the survey, we saw that in the National Capital Region, there was no significant increase. And we see that because of the programs that we are implementing, it has not resulted, or we see that the programs like Walang Gutom and the Walang Gutom Kitchen are on the right track. When we compare that to the hunger incidents in the Visayas, that's when we determine that, well, of course, there are several factors that may have affected it, such as what I've earlier mentioned, the protracted effect of the Mount Kanlaon eruption and other factors, because, again, the problem on hunger is multi-dimensional. There are really a lot of factors that affect it.
So just to confirm, Asec, do you mean to say that because in the Visayas, no, 34% yung number ng gutom, it pulled up the average percentage nationwide?
As I've said, there are a lot of factors that affect the incidence of hunger in various parts of our country. And we're just looking at the protracted effect of the disaster as one of the possible reasons. But nonetheless, we're looking at this as an opportunity to beef up our efforts on the implementation of, again, of our various programs, not only of our disaster response efforts, but also of other initiatives such as the food stamp program.
Well, Asec, right now, you have the DSWD serving 300,000 food-poor households. Tell us, Asec, ano ba yung mga classifications kung paano ma-determine na ang isang pamilya ay food-poor? And are there any plans to also raise the amount of monthly food aid, which is right now at 3,000 pesos?
Yeah. On the Walang Gutom program, we have a targeting mechanism Of course, first we make use of the DSWD listahanan in determining the 1 million poorest households who are qualified or are classified as food poor. And then we compare it to the Family and Income Expenditure Survey to determine also the areas where there is high incidence or prevalence of hunger. And that is our basis in identifying areas that will be prioritized for the implementation of the program. And then there's also a mechanism to determine who will be enrolled. Again, we did some validation of the food poor households, and that's how we enrolled them. Now, as you've mentioned, we are now serving around 300,000 households, and the target is to cover around 750 households. That is based on the family income and expenditure survey, wherein initially we were able to determine around 1 million, but because of the updated statistics on the food poor, we have reduced it to 750,000. Yeah, we recalibrated our targets to 750 households to
How come po?
ensure that we have accurate and needs-based intervention that is actually aligned on the actual number of food insecure in our country.
You're saying from projected 1 million, you reduced to 750,000. How come po when their figures are rising, actually?
That is actually based on the preliminary results of the 2023 Family Income and Expenditure Survey, wherein approximately 742,000 Filipino families are classified as food poor. So in response to that updated data, the Walang Gutom National Program Management Office recalibrated its target coverage. But of course, this is in addition, this Walang Gutom program is of course in addition or supplements the other anti-hunger initiatives of the department, like the supplementary feeding program, wherein we provide hot meals to children enrolled in child development centers and supervised neighborhood plays. So each sector has a targeted intervention that contributes in addressing the incidence of hunger.
Could it be, sorry Pawi, I just have to follow this up. Could it be that the figures, the self-rated hunger survey is different from your government, the government statistics? Yeah, there might not be a mismatch, there might not be a match, and so therefore the problem may be more severe than what you think it is. Is that a possibility?
Well, on that aspect, we'll have to defer to the Philippine Statistics Authority because, again, their information is the reference of the department in implementing our program. Now, I'd like to respond to the other question on the possible recalibration of the program, particularly on the amount that we are providing. We would just like to mention that our partners are actually making a study or has initiated initiated a study that actually tests varying voucher amounts, and our partners are also exploring the possibility of having more frequent redemptions beyond the typical 1 month limit. We're also looking at having an extended pilot study wherein we could determine if our beneficiaries should have higher amounts to receive to better address their consumption gaps. So we'll just have to wait for the result of this study to be issued, and whatever would be the outcome will again be the reference of the department in recalibrating, if necessary, program implementation.
And Asec, still regarding the amount, yung 3,000 pesos nga po na monthly aid, ano, what's the feedback from the families? Enough daw po ba ang 3,000 a month? Because you have to account for inflation and the rising costs of food. Sapat nga po ba talaga ang 3,000 pesos sa isang
I'll also
buwan?
add na lang to, since Pawi asked na rin, I'm also wondering if may accountability check ba that yung 3,000 talaga napupunta sa pagkain?
Yes, actually, when we did the pilot implementation of the program, we really did a study on the sufficiency or adequacy of the 3,000 pesos monthly food credit. And based on the earlier results of those study, nakita naman po no, na sufficient. But then again, of course, sabi ko nga, there are current studies being done to determine if responsive yung amount na iyan. But we'd just like to mention that this program has a social and behavioral change component. Meron itong condition yung attendance to the nutrition education sessions, wherein our walang gutom program beneficiaries follow a structured and laddered approach to promote long-term changes in dietary habits. So we're teaching them to prepare mura, masustansya at masasarap na pagkain. And in addition to that, there's a food basket that we are using. Dito, they could only buy foods that are inside that food basket. There's actually a percentage for 50% goes to carbohydrates, 30% to protein, and 20% for dietary fiber. And they could not purchase other goods using their electronic benefit transfer card. So in that manner, we could determine and we could be assured that they are only purchasing foods that are really necessary for their health and nutrition.
Okay, Asec, matanong ko na rin, no, nabanggit ninyo yung protracted eruption ng Mount Kanlaon sa Visayas. It's still very active. In fact, we get updates from FIVOLCS every now and then. What is the short-term plan or medium-term plan for that, since we can't really predict what's going to happen? But for sure, since the activity is ongoing, have you guys put in interventions in place, at least in that vicinity?
Yes, the DSWD continues to provide family food packs to internally displaced persons, particularly those who are still residing inside evacuation centers. And at the same time, we're also providing other interventions such as setting up of community kitchens, because we recognize that the family food packs that we are providing may not be enough to provide for the nutritional requirements of the internally displaced persons. So we're bringing in community kitchens so that other nutritional foods or nutritious foods may be supplied or will be supplied to the disaster-affected families. At the same time, we're also working on the other interventions for the community in coordination, of course, with the local government units and other agencies of the government. Of course, looking at the long-term effect of all this.
Tell us when the study by the NSO will be happening? The release of the study.
Yes, we are expecting the result of the study to be issued within the first semester of 2025. Hopefully, we can have it by April or May. Again, so that we could have a reference, because of course DSWD is always evidence-based in policy making and program implementation. So as we move forward and as we intensify our program implementation, we hope to have this study issued really very soon.
Yes, we do hope so. Thank you so much.
I guess one last question, yes, but this is on a different topic. Of course, this is going viral. It has something to do with the upcoming elections, the candidates. Secretary Gatchalian has been very, very upset na nagamit nga yung isang PWD in campaigns. You guys have an investigation. Can you tell us more about the parameters of that and what we expect to get out of that?
Well, yes, on the issue on the solo parent, of course, the Secretary has already mentioned that we really have to protect and promote the rights of our solo parents, who are our modern day heroes, as they really work very hard to provide for the needs of their children. So we have to make sure that our discourses really ensure that the interest of this vulnerable sector will be upheld. Now, on the issue of the person with disability, again, the DSWD has sent out a team in Pasig to do a fact-finding investigation. And as the Secretary has mentioned, if there is a violation, particularly on the rights of the person with disability, we will be working with the local government unit to file the necessary charges. Again, we're doing this because as lead in social protection, we have to make sure that we work for the interests of the vulnerable sectors. We don't want that our vulnerable sectors are victimized twice and that their vulnerabilities are further exploited. So that's the effort now of the department, of course, to really ensure that their rights are promoted and protected.
Pero ASEC, just to clarify things, nakausap naman na po ang pamilya nitong TWD and they already decried that video. What else did they say, ASEC? I mean, because you have reports saying that this individual was forced nga po to badmouth Pasig Mayor Vico Soto.
Yes, of course, we've seen and read videos and posts on social media, but the DSWD would like to verify this information. That's the purpose why Secretary created a team to do a fact-finding investigation. And whatever the result of that would be reviewed, of course, by our Secretary, and it would be the basis of further actions.
Okay, so there's possible legal action if proven by investigation.
All right, we thank you for your time, DSWD Assistant Secretary and Spokesperson Irene Dumlao. We hope the good secretary will sit down with us in the big story at another time. Thank you.